unpopular opinion amongst women in our society. And I've read a little bit about some cultures and some beliefs in Africa and different things like this. But something that is very unpopular in our society, and I mean American society, so bear with me, is that women should give up their dreams when they have kids. Women should focus on the children, focus on your child, stay at home with your child. That's your main concern. That's your main priority. I'm going to make some of y'all uncomfortable with this. I, however, have never believed that. I have one child, so I'm about to put a lot of information out there. I have one child. She's currently 13. And I remember having a conversation, so stay with me and judge me if you must. I'm fine with it because this is a belief I've had probably since she was 3 or 2 when I started to form my own beliefs around motherhood. So I remember the first big thing that I set out to do as a mother was get a PhD. Before that, I stayed at home with my daughter and you know I'm going to relate this to the cash, to the bag, to the business. So just let's walk along together. Before I was getting my PhD before I was getting my PhD, I stayed at home with my daughter for about 9 to 11 months. And I hated it. I don't think I've ever said that in public. I hated it. And let me tell you why. Because at first I stayed home, I cooked and I cleaned. And I was so bored. And I watched her, just looked at her. She looked at me. I cleaned. I mean, my house was immaculate. I was cooking all the time. I was cleaning all the time. And I was so bored. This is what? You know, and I was so, thank you. I was so bored. So what I started to do was I started to incorporate culture and arts and different programs into our days. So I joined a motherhood group. We started going to museums. Like, so once a week we would go to the museum or a different museum. We would go to we had to have like plans. Something fun for her, something cultural for her, something fun for me that I could look forward to because I was bored. And then I started working. Then I went back for my PhD. And with my PhD, I wrote and worked most of the time. And I spoke before, so I'm not going to give you the outline of how I didn't watch TV and all of this stuff. But I remember having a conversation with her several times over the last 13 years. Like I said, she's 13. And I remember telling her, look, once when she was too young to get it, again when she was a little like, okay, maybe. Now she probably understands more, but she won't fully understand until she has a family and children of her own. But the conversation that I had with her, that I started to feel more and more, which explained why I was so bored staying home, a conversation I had with her while I was getting my PhD, so she might have been like 4 or 5, I don't know. But I remember her looking at me like, what the are you talking about? Was don't ever give up your dreams for someone and make them the center of your life. I know I'm going to get judged for that. Let me explain. You can judge me, I'm fine with it. But let me explain. What I realized when I was going after something with tenacity and focus and energy, and I was going hard after this PhD, and I was focused and I was learning and I was thriving and I was growing, was that I was becoming a better version of myself. I was becoming a better version of myself. And what happens when you become a better version of yourself is you also can give a better version of yourself to those around you. And you can be a better mother. You can be a better partner, a better wife, a better husband. Regardless of what your roles are, you become better at them because now you have more to give. So fast forward to a few years after that, when I started my first business and I had this conversation with her again, because remember I told y'all I used to work all the time. I wasn't getting all this money, but I was branding and working all the time. Don't recommend it. If you want to skip that part, join the membership group, do one-on-one coaching. I don't recommend it. And I have clients that we skip that part. and they're making a killing. I wish somebody would have mentored me back then. But anyway, what I realized when I started going after my business dreams was that I became an even better mother. I started to meditate. I worked out more. My skin looked better. I was nicer to my child. I was nicer. And I believe I was nicer because I had something for me. I didn't resent her for being the center of my life, as society tells us that when you have kids, that's your most important thing. I don't believe that. I believe that is another important piece of your life. I believe that who you are is the most important part of your journey, becoming your best and highest self. I'm not saying being all about you, egocentric, and unless that's your journey. What I'm saying is when you spend time really honed in and focused in on who you are, and you grow to your highest self professionally, you grow to your highest self physically, spiritually, emotionally, and you continue to grow and thrive and grow and heal, then when you go out into the world to make money, to make friends, to fall in love, to whatever, you bring your best self with you at all times. You bring your best and your highest self. So when I go out to mother and she's getting on my nerves, guess what? I can still be many times. Sometimes I pop off. And even in my pop off, I'm my best self. Because I could believe if I didn't have anything that was for me, I probably would be a terrible parent. Many people probably, and it's not because they want to stress, they don't know who they are, they haven't figured it out. But when you figure it out, your money starts flowing better, your mind, your thoughts, your healing. Even when you are sad or in pain or going through something, you move differently. And so I say all that to say, when you focus on yourself and being your best version, and you sometimes, I was a single mother. So I had to do that simultaneously while nurturing and caring for this child. And sometimes I dropped the ball. However, when you go after your highest self first, notice I say you go after the bag first. When you go after your highest self, and that comes along with your purpose, your vision, your dreams for your business, and you go after it with your energy and your passion, and you include important people with you on the journey. Like I spoke about how people are so used to seeing my daughter at events that they ask for her when I'm like, she don't work here. She does now. She's on payroll now. However, before it's like whatever. I bring her with me all the time. We spend time together. However, being my best self, being my highest self, being my most glorious self is my main concern. And, being my most spiritually whole. And I can understand the frustration with some people like, oh my God, like that's going to take some reprogramming. And that might not be for everybody, but it's for me. My goal is to be my best self, and then be an example of my best self to my daughter, because I also want her to understand what her best self brings to the world. I read something a while ago that says, when you're your best self, you create space for those around you to be their self and be their highest self. So when my daughter brings herself to the table, I don't push her down and make her someone else. I watch her be who she is and support it and let that roll. That's all you, my love. This is what I have to impart on you. And that translates into business, because what I find is when I'm happier, I make more money. When I'm happier and I'm lighter, I have better business deals. People want to work with me. I can give you better knowledge. Like today, I took some time this morning to reprogram, recenter, and be quiet and work. I did some work this morning, but it was a slow progression this morning. Normally, I jump up and hit it. I needed to recharge this morning. Now I'm able to bring my best self to you. And so think about that, because society, has some good parts, and there's some parts in our society where people have limited themselves, and then in their protection of you and their love for you, they also impart those limits on you. And it's not always to squash you or shut you down. It's what they have to give. So be very careful of who you let come in to limit you as well. Because when I first started my business, I'm not going to give y'all a name, but somebody that was very close to me and my family said, you can't do that. That was because she didn't believe she could. I was like, whatever. Because I was going after it really hard. And so, I know it always feels like they're running. I was going after my dreams really, really hard then. And so it's understand that it's okay for you to love something and to go after it with energy. And I'm not talking about another person. I'm not talking about obsessing after another person. What I'm saying is it's okay for you to have a dream, a vision that lives rent-free in your head that compels and pushes you, for you to go after that with energy and all parts of you, and include the loved ones around you on the journey. Because what I truly believe as women, as parents, because this can go for men and women, when you show up every day, when you show up as your highest self every day, when you show up in the world every day and your children get to witness that and the people around you get to witness that, you do something for them that they'll probably never be able to put into words. That they'll try to understand how that energy shifted their entire being for the rest of their life. I truly believe the way that I move in love, relationships, health, business, and money has changed the trajectory of my daughter's life forever. Forever. Like some things that I had to go through and witness growing up and as a young adult, she will never have to witness, because she watched somebody give their energy to something in such a positive way that it's going to change her mindset forever. Forever. And that's one of the reasons that I do this work. And I'm able to do this work is because I go after it. It heals me when I do this work. It gives me energy when I do this work. It loves on me. There's times when I am, life has smacked the piss out of me. And I do this work, or I meet with one of my clients, or I have somebody that sends me a message who's a part of the membership group telling me how it's changed their life. How, they've read a book. I've had so many people, I've read one of your books and it made me cry and open up parts of my life. I've had people, clients, like that rave on social media about how one year they were like this and they made this and now they're making this and they never thought it was possible. Like, that heals me. So imagine if I took that away to focus on something else. How could I then show up as my best self if I'm leaving my healing waters? I'm leaving the place that brings me energy and my purpose in my life. And that's why I don't believe that when you have kids, your life should stop. For me and mine and what I'm teaching. Because without me having my dreams and my purpose and pouring energy into them, I don't believe that I would be able to show up in the capacity that I have been able to as a mother, as a coach, as a mentor, as a businesswoman, because this is what I feel I'm supposed to be doing. And so, understanding that can change your life. Like understanding that it's okay for you to have a vision and a dream and goals that you go after with your entire being and see it come to fruition, so that now you can change your legacy, the legacy that you've inherited and the one that you will leave behind. And that's amazingly important to me, to watch women. And I'm gonna say this, I'm not leaving y'all guys out, but I'm a woman first, in case you couldn't tell. It's amazingly important for me to see people understand that they can have whatever they want. And to see a woman be able to walk in all of her presence and her essence and be able to leave her mark on this earth is life-changing for me. And that is why I do this work. I mean, I don't know.